because this brings about great opportunity not only for students, but efficiency for TPS. This will save TPS $1 million in taxpayers' dollars each year in fuel. Why? Because we are converting to propane opposed to diesel.
There's a significant savings on fuel cost for propane buses. You know, going green, trying to reduce the impact on the environment. These buses, have a lower carbon footprint, so that was another appealing thing about the buses.
First of all, that I think that comes to mind with me is safety of the kids. The safety at our buildings when we pick up. When you walked out beside before with the diesel buses, you couldn't hear yourself think. These guys, you don't even know they're idling. I mean, they're just so quiet. You don't even hear them. Also, maintenance-wise, they are very clean. The valve train is almost so clean. There's no fuel contaminants to make valves build up carbon. There's no carbon rings on top of pistons. The oil is almost like brand new oil when you take it out of them. It's very clean and very clear, almost like when you just put it in. So it's almost brand new.
As the treasurer of the school district, one of my first concerns was cost, obviously. Propane buses do offer a significant cost savings. Just from the fuel alone. We still feel that it's the right option, moving in the right direction, moving from diesel to propane. We felt it was the right decision for us and probably the right decision for other school districts as well. And I think propane is definitely the wave of the future.
We've been purchasing propane buses for 7 years now, and now that more than half the fleet operates on propane, we've seen our maintenance budget drop because of the difference in the service costs between diesel and propane. We've reduced costs in our fuel budget. We've also reduced costs in our maintenance and repair and parts and supply budgets, as we've seen that a service on a propane bus costs only 1/3 of what it would cost on a diesel bus. It was easy for us to make the switch to propane because this lot was originally constructed with a propane tank many years ago. So we had the electric infrastructure in place and the pad in place, and it was easy to work with local suppliers to get a tank and a pump to begin operating propane buses. Our drivers appreciate the quick starts in cold weather. They like the fact that they heat up very quickly and they have heat before they even leave the lot in many cases, and it stays warm in the bus all morning long. And the drivers appreciate the acceleration and the performance on the road when they're on the road for a long trip. It's a very easy, clean process to fuel the propane buses, and they report good performance, and we can take our propane buses anywhere in the state of Ohio on a long round trip without having to stop to refuel. One propane bus makes a small difference, but 30 of them make a pretty sizable impact on the environment. We've seen our tailpipe emissions drop significantly across the fleet as we've switched from diesel buses to propane buses, and that makes the air cleaner everywhere we drive.
Nicest thing is when you do an oil change on a propane bus, it's so much cleaner when you drain it out. You pull the drain plug and it looks like pancake syrup maybe coming out, as opposed to black ink on the diesel bus.
It is very clean. It's what we call a clean green type of fuel. It does not emit anything as far as toxic fumes or anything like that into the atmosphere around kids. So it's very safe for the environment. It's safe for our students. It's safe for our bus drivers who do what we call a pre-trip and a post-trip. They circle around the buses while the buses are running. You can't even smell the fumes at all versus the diesel, which is pretty toxic.
We pride ourselves of keeping our children in the least amount of pollution possible. So it's done a really good job for us. We're very proud. It financially made sense, and it also made sense for our children's lungs. We noticed with the propane market, it's very stable, and with that being very stable, it's easier to budget. We usually use diesel world. We were using 240, 250,000 gallons of diesel a year. So when you use that much fuel and you're off 20 cents a gallon, that makes a big difference. It's also cleaner. That was definitely another reason why we wanted to do that. They're more American independent, so propane market comes 93% comes from America. We buy diesel fuel and other types of fuels from foreign countries, so that definitely helps support America. So the drivers were a little hesitant at first. It looked like, you know, something very dangerous, but once they started driving them, they realized that the noise and the ability for the drivers to hear the kids, the noise level was down. So when the noise level of the engine's down, then the noise level of the children are down too. So we usually put on about 15,000 miles a year per bus. So it equates to about 600,000 miles a year. They only use about a third of the cost, or a third of the oil. So you're 7 quarts of oil instead of 21 or 24 quarts of oil. Now I'm sticking with at least 40% savings in cost per mile. We've broken it down from cost per mile for fuel and cost per mile for services, and the reliability of them is just unbelievable.